Come on, Artie, let's go party, because today Rick Tocchet is giving Arturs Silovs the start against the Chicago Blackhawks, much to the dismay of many Vancouver Canucks fans in the replies of this tweet by Brendan Batchelor and in different parts of social media. Let's get into why this is going down and why it's a big deal for Canucks fans. This show is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Go out there, check out the top link in the description. It'll save some money on your VPN, give you some free months, and help you support the YouTube channel in the process. The Canucks have a pretty bad spot right now in the Stanley Cup playoff race. It is not enough to just go out there and play 500 hockey. It is not enough to just keep winning. Obviously, you would prefer them to keep on winning, but the Vancouver Canucks right now, according to MoneyPuck.com, have a 38.3% chance of making the playoffs. They are tied with the Calgary Flames for the final wildcard spot. St. Louis is right on their tails. Utah is right on their tails. Vancouver and Calgary have games over Utah and St. Louis, though, so that's a little bit of solace. However, it's a really tight race to end off this wildcard. So for Vancouver, they may not need to be perfect, but they do need to get points here. And with the Calgary Flames suffering a regulation loss at the hands of the Colorado Avalanche yesterday, and the Seattle Kraken defeating the Utah Hockey Club in regulation yesterday too, it puts Vancouver in a much more favorable position than had the other results gone through instead. Vancouver needs to get this game tonight against Chicago. They need this game. But the problem is, tomorrow on Sunday, they also have the Utah Hockey Club. So this is a back-to-back situation. We had seen the Canucks go back-to-back with Kevin Lankinen in the Montreal game and then against the Calgary Flames the next night. Lankinen has been tankin'. He's been a tank all season. Not tanking, but he's been a tank. And he has solidified himself as the #1 goalie in Vancouver with his recent stretch of play. Not to mention the contract, too. So when you see a back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the Canucks have a back-to-back Saturday, Sunday, do you really want to go out there and push Kevin Lankinen to do yet another back-to-back after a back-to-back? When you think about it, Kevin Lankinen played on Sunday, March 9th against Dallas. Canucks lost. He played Tuesday, March 11th against the Canadiens. Canucks lost. He played Wednesday against Calgary. Canucks won. If you gave him today and tomorrow, you're going to give him tomorrow, by the way, not today, but if you gave him today and tomorrow, Kevin Lankinen would have played 5 hockey games in the span of 8 days? Do you want him to go out there and do that? Absolutely not. 5 games in 8 nights, including 2 back-to-backs? I'm sorry, but I can understand why Rick Tocchet's not going with Lank the Tank in this one. He'll get the start tomorrow against Utah. That's probably going to happen. But against Chicago, I can understand they're not going with him tonight. In fact, I think that there are a number of ways that you can think about this. You can say, okay, if Chicago is the weaker opponent, would it not be more beneficial to put your better goaltender in against Chicago so you have an even better chance to win, and then give Arturs Silovs the Utah game tomorrow? That's the gamble right there. You don't know if Arturs Silovs is good enough to beat Utah. He has been looking better as of late in the previous starts he has had compared to at the beginning of the season, for example. But you're not as confident in Silovs yet before you can start to give him clutch moments like you did last year in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Rick Tocchet, like the parlay guy he is making a gamble here. Playing the better goalie against Utah tomorrow when the Canucks are going to be tired because it's the second half of a back-to-back, and giving Arturs Silovs the weaker opponent tonight, rather than doubling down and giving Lankinen another back-to-back situation, which I don't think he would be not good enough to play. It's just the workload, the demand that it has on the body. Playing a back-to-back is one thing for a goalie, but playing 2 back-to-backs in a week, that's a lot. There's so much that a goalie's body needs to go through that I think it's going to be pretty tight to think about the rest of the schedule here for the Vancouver Canucks towards the end of the season, especially post All-Star break. and I say all-star break, it's really a Four Nations break, but the Canucks are not done with back-to-backs after this one little stretch here. They got one more pair of back-to-back games in April, and then the rest of the season will play out the way it does. But for now, in a really crunchy time for Vancouver playoff hopes, this is the decision here. Arturs Silovs is going to play. Now, you can also say that the results of yesterday's game maybe relieve some of the pressure on Arturs Silovs. If Calgary won yesterday, and if Utah won yesterday, then maybe things would be a lot more dire, and maybe Rick Tocchet decides, okay, screw it, we can't afford to lose these 2 points, we're going to go with Lankinen against Chicago. Maybe the fact that Colorado beat Calgary and the fact that Utah lost to Seattle, that puts some factors into place that allows Tocchet to go, okay, maybe the risk isn't as high as it would have been otherwise, so now we can go with Silovs. And of course, it's Chicago, so you hope to goodness gracious that Silovs ends up getting his second win on the season in a game that he ends up starting. He's only got one win on the year. Like, it's kind of ridiculous because he played so well last season, in the playoffs especially, but this year, in 9 starts, the guy only has 1 win. So, yeah, it's not really great for Arturs Silovs right now, but we're going to manifest this. He's got the shirt on in the thumbnail. Hopefully the Blackhawks start Arvid Soderblom because, firstly, I have him in fantasy. Yeah, I know, it's a 16-team league, and I'm in the playoffs getting smoked. But if it's Spencer Knight tonight, then the Vancouver Canucks are going to have a pretty difficult time. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. To end off this video, though, sticking with the theme of goaltending, I wanted to go out there and talk about one more note that we had seen about Vancouver netminders, because Rick Dhaliwal had himself a quote on Halford and Brough on Sportsnet 650 earlier yesterday morning, talking about Thatcher Demko and what's going wrong. Take a look at this. Dhaliwal says that Demko has a groin injury and that he needs practices. Well, okay, practices. Dhaliwal also says that the Canucks' schedule is not helping. Demko needs a full team practice before he plays games. When you have back-to-backs, you've got to take the third day off, so there's not really much time for practices here. And that was exemplified yesterday, when, per team plan, Thatcher Demko's first Canucks practice in 5 weeks came to a prescribed early ending. He skated with the group for about 35 minutes and was actively involved. Expected things to ramp up in the days ahead. So, obviously, with Lankinen and Silovs manning the crease in this little stint here, and with Silovs being the guy tonight, we're all kind of hoping in the back of our minds what's happening with Thatcher Demko, and it does seem like he is on a path to recovery here, but it does require team practice time, which the Canucks have not had recently. So, back-to-backs be damned, it's prolonging Thatcher Demko's absence. If he is the superhero to come in and save the day with a whole bunch of wins towards the end of the year to help the Canucks make the playoffs, then obviously that's ideal, but who knows, man. Thatcher Demko, the second he plays a game again, he might get hurt. Knock on wood, of course, we hope that does not happen, but there's been no evidence to support the contrary. He's been hurt so often this year, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Firstly, about Arturs Silovs getting the start today, as per Rick Tocchet's decision against Chicago. What are your thoughts on Kevin Lankinen not playing 5 games in 8 nights after having Dallas, the first back-to-back against Montreal, and then Calgary, and then not being given the back-to-back tonight for Chicago against Utah? And what are your thoughts on Thatcher Demko potentially coming back too? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.